Although I do believe that there needs to be a system established so that every person that commits a crime pays the consequence for that, I do not agree with the death penalty. I don't agree that the system puts people to death. And yes, I understand, they committed a crime, they need to pay the consequences for that. But that's just a simple way out of it. Anything that has to do with human testimony is prone to mistakes. So that's one life being taken away, one innocent life being taken away. And that is enough reason for the government not to approve of this law. Another reason is, there is freedom. We as humans have freedom. And when a person commits a crime, they're giving that freedom to death. They're giving that freedom not to bear the guilt that they're living with because they committed this crime. And that right there is enough reason not to agree with such a law. What I find ironic about the death penalty is that the bigger the crime the person commits, the more you're commending them by giving them freedom of that guilt, which is death.
I believe the death penalty is very complicated to decide whether you want to be for or against it. I believe that pretty much everybody is in the middle on it. There's no person that should be able to say whether one should take a life or not, regardless of what they did or the mistakes that they made. I do believe, however, that every person on death row should have the chance to appeal it if they believe that they are innocent or claim that they are innocent, to appeal it and be given their chance to prove their innocence. If they are proven guilty, they should have to pay for their crimes in some way or pay off their debt to society. I don't believe that death should be punished by death because in the first place, that's what got the criminal on death row. So I don't see how it would be right for someone else to say that it's time to take their life for what they did, because it's still someone choosing to kill someone, but it's legalized. I feel that the wait for execution on death row is pretty lengthy, and most of the time people sit on there for years to wait for their execution, which can cause anxiety and stuff like that. So either if you're going to execute them and they're waiting for their appeal, they should speed up the process and find out if they're innocent or if they're guilty. And if they're gonna do it, then they should just get it over with instead of leaving them waiting.
I believe the death penalty should be abolished. In a judicial system where decisions are constantly being overturned, final decisions such as the life and death of an individual should not be left in the hands of an imperfect judicial system.
The death penalty. What comes to mind when I think of this word? I don't think it should even exist. A person shouldn't be put to death if they have committed a murder. What do they learn from being dead? Nothing at all. Because what? They're dead. It's not a panacea for everything. The person should be put in a facility or a place where they are allowed to torture their own selves. Think about what they did, the lives they have destroyed, the families that have been discontorted, and everything chaotic that they have done.
The death penalty is a very controversial issue. When dealing with the death penalty, people wonder whether they should have the right to determine whether someone lives or dies. At the end of the day, I believe in God, and I believe that God put us on this earth, and He is the only person that can determine whether I live or I die. Who is to say that my mistakes are worthy of death? Who is to say that your mistakes are worthy of death? No human being should have the right reserved to determine whether another human being should live or have their next breath. And when dealing with the death penalty, it actually is just a way out for criminals. Why not leave them in their cells? Why not have them incarcerated for the rest of their life to think about the awful atrocities that they did? Instead, we give them a way out. We give them freedom. We give them a right to say, well, I did this and now I won't have to live with the guilt anymore. That's why when dealing with the death penalty, I do not believe in it. I am sympathetic towards other people because they are still human and they still are one of God's creations because, of course, I'm a Christian. However, their actions should not be justified, and I do feel sorry for them, but I don't feel sorry for what they did.
After watching the film Dead Man Walking, I still stand firm in what I believe in. I still don't agree with the government that they're gonna go ahead and persecute a man for committing murder, and then they're gonna go ahead, turn around, and commit murder themselves. To me, that absolutely makes no sense. And that is why I felt so strong about my feelings toward capital punishment after watching this movie. I do not agree with what this man did. I do not agree with the murder that he committed. But yet again, I don't agree that the government is gonna go ahead and do the same thing.
After watching the movie, it gave me insight on the prisoners and their people on death row, how they should see it and how wrong it can be. I do believe it is morally wrong to kill someone for a crime that they commit because they are being punished for committing that same crime. So it's controversial to kill them for killing someone. It's the same kind of crime. So I do kind of stand on my same position that it is wrong, but at the same time I understand why they do it for the victims' families. It brings them closure.
After watching the movie, my views didn't change, they were actually reinforced. But the movie did give me an insight and about the pain that the family's victims have to go through and the suffering, the agony they have to deal with, that when it comes to the loss of a loved one. And I do feel sympathetic to their point of view, but even after watching the movie, I still believe that the death penalty is wrong and it should not be administered the way that it is at this point.
After watching this movie, I had some mixed feelings, but some of my feelings still stood. I mean, just the thought of him helping the person to rape and kill my daughter or son would get anyone in a tizzy. But that doesn't mean that I should allow, under no circumstances, anger to judge the punishment of someone. He shouldn't be placed on death penalty simply because he did not commit the crime of murder, but he still raped. So he should have still been punished for what he has done. But although they humanized him in such a manner, and I tried to empathize with him, he did deserve some penalty. But where's the friend? The friend ran free. So I still stand to my point. A person should not be put to the death penalty if they have committed a murder. They should be placed in a facility or a place where they can think about the chaos that they have caused, the life that they have damaged, and everything that they have done.
The movie Dead Man Walking reinforced my belief in the fact that capital punishment should not be something that our government has. Why? Because individuals, they ask for forgiveness and they deserve that forgiveness. God grants us forgiveness, so who are we to say that another individual's mistakes are so bad that they deserve capital punishment? In the movie, the character Matt, he reconciled, he asked the family for forgiveness. He went to Sister Helen and he poured his heart out. And she told him that it was okay and that God forgives. And I don't understand why this country feels like they reserve the right to not be able to forgive individuals for the mistakes that they make. And I'm so impacted by the movie because it reinforced my belief in that capital punishment should not be something that is here in the United States.